So right off the bat, I just want to thank you, Luz Reyes-Martin, for joining us today. I know you're probably very busy these days. 7 questions. So first question, what motivated you to run in this race?
Well, thank you. I'm so glad to get to have this conversation. So I have served on the Goleta School Board for the last 8 years, and that has been a true joy to work on behalf of families in the Goleta Valley, for teachers, staff, and even community members who may not have children in the district. They still care so deeply about our schools and making sure that our schools are great. As a result of all that work, I really began to work more and more with the community. And I found, especially during times of crisis or an emergency, whether that was the Thomas Fire, the debris flow, or even through COVID, in working to support families in Goleta, I was doing more than just a school board role. Their lives were impacted by more than just what was happening within the walls of a classroom. And that really motivated me and was, I really feel like this natural evolution to working on bigger issues in the city, really at the end of the day to help support the community. So the city of Goleta is moving to district elections, which is really exciting. For the first time, we get to elect a council member from our neighborhoods and from our district. I've followed that process, and when those final maps came out, I really identified so strongly with my district, with District 1. It's where my son goes to school, it's where we shop, it's where my parents are soon to be residents. And I felt such a really strong connection, and I threw my hat in. I feel like voters should have a choice, and I feel like I have a lot to contribute to the city. So that's why I'm in for City Council.
Why should the people of Goleta vote for you?
Well, I really feel like I bring a fresh perspective and a lot of experience to the role of a city council member. I have a master's degree in land use planning and a master's degree in public administration. My career really started in city government, working to help communities thrive, whether that was through land use planning or different programs. In fact, when I first moved to Goleta a little over 10 years ago, I worked for the city of Goleta in their neighborhood services department. And in that role, I oversaw the Butterfly Docent Program at the Butterfly Grove at Elwood Mesa, and our Emergency Preparedness Program, and staffed the Parks and Recreation Commission. So I already have a lot of knowledge of the city of Goleta, but also more broadly how a city should function, how it should work, how it should be accountable to the residents that it serves, and how important careful planning is for a city and for its long-term success. So I feel like I bring that kind of what I would call technical knowledge and background of the role of a council member in a city. But I also feel so closely tied to the community. I love Goleta. It's such a wonderful, special place to raise a family, to live, to work, and to enjoy life. And I feel like I have a lot to contribute. I want to be part of charting the city's future into the next 20 years. We just celebrated 20 years of cityhood. And I'm just really enthusiastic about this role and wanting to be a very responsive and accessible council member for the people of District 1.
What do you think is the most pressing issue facing the city right now?
Well, I've been knocking on doors in my district since June, really. And so many of the issues that I hear at the door may not be surprising. Folks in my district are concerned about our environment. And that's broad, but more specifically, they're concerned about the impacts of drought, the impacts of the effects of climate change related to wildfire threats. The holiday fire was just a couple years ago, right in my backyard. We actually left our home because of the smoke. We're just a few blocks away. That still resonates with a lot of residents. They're concerned about how we're prepared for that and how we're working collaboratively, regionally, and with other partners like our firefighters to be prepared for that. I think that ties into concerns about how do we meet needs related to housing and jobs. while taking into account those environmental concerns. So I would say those are the things that come up most frequently. But I'll also add that, folks are really emerging from COVID, wanting to feel more connected to each other and to their community. Every time I get to attend an event, a community event that is back in person for the first time, it is such a joyful experience. People are so excited to see each other, to see neighbors and friends that they may not have seen for quite some time. And I really want to champion more of that. More community events, more gatherings around arts and culture, or just leisure. And I think that ties into parks and recreation and other opportunities for residents. So I really want to help support that too.
What is your solution to solve this big problem?
Well, I wish I had, all of the answers to everything. But what I will say is, I'll take them a little bit one at a time. Related to climate or the environment, I have a really strong background in environmental advocacy. I'm currently the chair of the Santa Barbara Sierra Club, and I've built a lot of great relationships with both experts and advocates in our community that are really wanting to preserve our beautiful environment that we have here in Goleta, and really work together. So when it comes to related to emergencies or preparing, I'm so proud to have the endorsement of our county firefighters. And it's really because I understand their critical role that they play in the community and wanting to make sure they are supported and that our neighborhoods know what they can do to be prepared and to help support our first responders, so that when or if we have a wildfire, that we are doing everything we can to keep ourselves and our community safe and also supporting them. So that means, at the city, I hope to be part of the committees that oversee things like public safety and emergency preparedness. We have some really active senior communities in District 1, and I would love to go and meet with them regularly to make sure they are prepared and that they have the information they need to be prepared. Related to housing and jobs, that is probably one of the main issues that so many cities all over California and probably even the country are faced with. And I think what I bring is a track record of working collaboratively, of hearing all voices. As a school board member, as you can imagine, there have been a wide range of opinions on everything related to schools. And I think how I've been successful as a school board member is taking the time to hear everyone out. I have had hundreds probably of phone calls, meetings over coffee, Zoom, meetings at playgrounds with parents and community members to hear them out, hear out their concerns, what they've heard, they want more information. I've really invested the time in doing that direct, just talking to people to hear them out before I make any kind of decision. It really helps me make more informed decisions. I think it's made me a better school board member. And it's that same approach that I would take as a council member, because some of these issues are tough. They're complicated, there's a lot of history, and I think it's really incumbent on a council member to put that work in, to hear people out, to try to bring people together. I believe that we can, through that and through working together, come to some agreement or compromise on some of these really complex issues. Goleta is not going to solve the housing problem on its own. We have to work collaboratively with our neighbors, with regional partners, with the state. And I think that I have those relationships that I can leverage to help support what Goleta needs and do it carefully and plan carefully. Make sure that we're planning appropriately for the impacts that come from any kind of additional growth. And so again, I think I have that background in land use planning to bring to bear when it comes to really looking at that and what those impacts may be.
How would you like to see the city grow over the next 5 to say 10 years?
Well, I think we really need to look at where we are now and make sure that we are addressing needs now. Our roads are in dire need of support and a plan to keep them well maintained. So I really want to focus on that. I want to work with our amazing local employers to see what needs they have. I know that this is a really tough labor market, and we have such incredible businesses and industries here in Goleta that I want to help support and make sure that they have what they need. So when we look into the future, every city in California has a regional housing needs assessment or RHNA allocation of housing units that they need to plan for into the future. The city of Goleta has just submitted their draft housing element to the state of California. That's a planning document that says to the state, here's how we will plan for more units. It's not it's not saying here's where exactly they will be or that we have a project. It's just the planning document. But I think it's our responsibility as a city, if we are required to really focus on housing and focus on meeting those housing needs in our community. How do we do that in a way that is carefully planned and that really addresses the needs we see? I know that we have real needs for those lower income levels of housing. I see it as a school board member with our families who are struggling to keep up with rising rents or who are struggling to get into the market, who may want to be homeowners. So I think we as a city and as a council can do more to work with those affordable housing developers, to think outside the box, to really get good ideas from other similar communities that have been able to make some progress. To really bring those affordable units to Goleta. And it's really to serve the residents that are already here. They're families that I know are, 2-3 families to a home in some cases, who want to stay in this community, who love this community, who have probably been here for a long time. How do we take care of them and their needs? So I think that's one area of focus that I would have in the next 5-10 years.
Open question. Anything else that you would like to say to the voters?
Well, I think what I would say to the voters is, first and foremost, please be, knowledgeable about what's on your ballot. It is one of the great privileges that we have to vote for our direct representatives at every level of government. So I would say, make sure you vote this November. And I would say for the residents of District 1, if I haven't gotten the chance to meet you myself at the door, I hope to in the next couple of weeks. I have a plan with my team to knock on every door at least once in the district. And really that, I love this community. I want to be your representative and someone who, again, is accessible, who is responsive to you and your needs, who wants to hear your input and what you want to see the city move into in the next 5-10 years. And what I bring is my experience, both professionally and as an elected representative. I have that track record of working collaboratively, of working on behalf of the people of Goleta, our families, our older adults, and everyone in between. And that's really what I want to do as a city council member. It's in service to the district and to the city. I believe so strongly in public service, and this is my home. I am just as invested in its success, and this is one way that I feel I can give back to the community and be a representative for District 1 and for the city of Goleta.
Luz Reyes-Martin, thank you so much for carving out time. I know you're really busy, as I said at the very beginning of all this, and I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you so much.